Good morning, Columbus. This is CNT, Clintonville News with Tink. I am your host, Tink, Chase Tinker. I would just like to remind viewers that we are the biggest CCTV news outlet on the circuit this morning. So, I think there's a little applause for that. We'll get our shout out to our sponsors here in a second. But first, let's talk politics this morning. We got to talk about Kentucky and we got to talk about Oregon. With those Democratic presidential candidates. We got Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton. So basically, the breakdown is Hillary won by a narrow margin in Kentucky, and Bernie kind of got notched here a little bit in Oregon. But unfortunately, Bernie supporters, it's not really going to be enough to affect his race in the long run. So that's kind of the breakdown on that. On a more local note, Columbus is one of 7 finalists for the U.S. Department of Transportation $40 million Smart City Grant. City officials are looking into autonomous and electric vehicles, as well as a kind of public payment system that would cover multiple modes of transportation as proposals to fulfill that grant. And look back to be hearing from us on this information when the city does submit their proposal on that. So now let's cut away to Brett on sports and hear from him this morning. Okay. Good morning. Woo! It is Ohio Sports with Brett. I am Brett Harden, and I love sports. Alright, the only sport event we have to talk about today. You know, the one thing you gotta talk about on sports radio today is those Cleveland Cavaliers dominating the Raptors. Whew, I was watching that game, I was sweating. That sent chills down my spine. That sent chills down the spine of every basketball fan in America. The Cleveland Cavaliers sent a message out to the NBA that they are not a team to be trifled with. During the 82-game regular season, you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors have always been within one game of each other the entire 82-game regular season. Well, just the other night, the Cleveland Cavaliers asserted their dominance with a 115-84 victory in Quicken Loans Arena. If that's not a message of the NBA, I don't know what is. You know what I'm saying? All right, that's all we got today for you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good Wednesday. Thank you. Thanks, Brett. Thanks for the sports update. So the next thing we have coming in, we've got an update on the wildfires burning up on the oil sands in Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada. We actually have a fan out in Calgary, Jim Rafferty, who's calling in, and he's going to give us kind of his view on things while we roll some footage of the fires. So, as you can see, the coverage is just terrible. The oil sands in Alberta are just totally covered with flames. So they've had to send more workers home. They've had to evac more workers, and the coverage is just terrible. Expect to see a hike in gas prices in the next couple of weeks. They just cannot stop these fires. It's awful. Fortunately, there has been no major danger to any human lives at this point. But thanks, Jim. Jim's been living out there for a couple of years, but he's from Columbus, so he still likes to tune in. When we air the news every morning. We have to address our sponsor, which this morning is the Blue Water Cafe. I ate here for breakfast this morning with my wife and children.